What would you do if a zombie apocalypse started? Would you gather survivors and attempt to build a well-defended settlement? Or would you scavenge for weapons to make mincemeat out of the undead? For the main character of Zom 100, the answer is neither. Akira is an office worker that has been driven to depression by his company. The apocalypse gives him a chance to finally live the life he's wanted to, free of deadlines and brown-nosing. Where other shows lean into pre-established metaphors associated with the zombies, such as mindless consumers in Dawn of the Dead, Zom 100 breaks away from lazy writing and offers us understanding and compassion instead. So let's join Akira as he reclaims his life from corrupt office culture and examine what the apocalypse in Zom 100 tells us about society. After all, it is easier to imagine the end of the world than it is to imagine the end of capitalism. This analysis contains spoilers for the first 2 episodes of this amazing series. You have been warned. Zom 100, Bucketlist of the Dead, opens with the scene of a man running away from zombies. The opening shot looks a lot like The Walking Dead, but we find out that it was just Akira watching the TV. Compared to The Office, that would be heaven, he remarks to himself. As we learn more about Akira's life, we come to understand how the years of office work has affected him. It was his dream to work for a production company, but he's quickly disillusioned, finding himself unable to quit despite being driven near suicide. The toxic work culture turns him from a cheerful rugby player to a man who looks like he's been sick his whole life. But who could blame him? Especially after seeing the girl he has feelings for being exploited by the boss, it couldn't get any worse. Then, the zombie apocalypse hits, and although at first all Akira could think about is being late for work, he sees the world around him as full of color for the first time in years, and realizes that he's finally free. What is brilliant about Zom 100 is that it refuses to use the metaphor of the zombie as a quick way to represent the ills of society. Instead, the show establishes that it is the exploitative side of capitalism that drives individuals such as Akira to act in a zombie-like manner. Philosopher Susan Sontag argues that by using illness as a metaphor in the modern age, we find an easy way to be morally severe and condemn what we see as evil. In the old days, metaphors relating to religion would have done the trick. Yet diseases such as cancer have taken on meaning that is beyond what physically happens to a person. People avoid the subject of cancer as it is taboo, and in media and literature, cancer is seen as the disease that afflicts passive people who are sexually repressed and incapable of expressing anger. Take the plot device that cancer serves in Breaking Bad, for example, where the character of Walter White goes through a transformation from being a pushover in a broken marriage to a violent drug kingpin because of his diagnosis.
You're goddamn right.
Although zombification is not a real disease, that has not stopped it from gaining its own metaphors. On the surface, zombies are often seen as mindless plot devices in modern movies, but its history is deeply rooted in political messaging. White Zombie was the first feature-length zombie film, where it reflected the American fear of voodoo magic as a white couple faces zombification at the hands of primitive Haitians. Dawn of the Dead is among one of the first movies to feature zombies as we know it today, and it exposes that even in an apocalypse, humans will still see things in terms of possession and consumption.
You never know.
The zombie disease is often seen as a manifestation of societal problems, and in Zom 100, this is no exception. However, Zom 100 very intentionally pieces together the meaning that they attribute to this illness. Instead of seeing people as zombies because of our mindless consumption, like in Dawn of the Dead, Zom 100 offers a rather sympathetic view. In episode 2, all Akira wants is to buy beer and enjoy a day lounging around his apartment. What Zom 100 tells us is that there's nothing inherently wrong with capitalist goods, but it is the cycle of endless hours and joyless days that makes it hard for us to even enjoy these pleasures. Watching Zom 100, it is interesting to see how the zombie apocalypse affects each person differently. For Akira, it means a chance to quit his job as he pushes his zombified boss outside of a skyscraper. As you watch the show, you notice the messages that it tries to send us, of how to get out of the apocalypse that is daily life for many. To use metaphors of illness such as that of the zombie lightly is to simplify what is complex and invite people to judge rashly. After all, the metaphor of the zombie is one that calls for violence, guns, and oh yeah, a whole lot of guns. It has also played into the isolationist fantasies of the 21st century, where fear is often that of the other humans, who are also fighting over limited resources. In the real world, people in dead-end jobs who are tired are often referred to as zombies, dehumanizing their experiences. Zom 100 leaves none of these tropes unexamined, breathing new life into the genre. It is a beautiful example of an apocalypse story done right, and I would highly recommend adding it to your bucket list of things to watch before the zombies come. Please subscribe. It may just be a little click for you, but it'll make my day.